Right now, how the city is looking to help the Madison Fire Department keep up with the growing number of emergency calls.
Frosty conditions are expected for much of southern Wisconsin overnight tonight. I will let you know in this newscast just how long those frost chances will stick around.
And later, the Universities of Wisconsin system looking to standardize some of its graduation requirements at all campuses. Why some students say one way could impact ethnic studies at UW-Madison. We welcome you to News 3 Now at 6. And good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson. We begin with the developing story where Madison police are investigating reports of shots fired on the east side.
Officers are responding to reports from Trafalgar Place, and that's where we find our Jalen Banks live at the scene. Jalen, what can you tell us?
Sarah and Eric, I'm currently on Trafalgar Place in Kirk Drive where an incident happened, as you guys mentioned, around 3 p.m., a shooting taking place. Now, we just wrapped up a conversation with Eastside District Captain Ed Marshall on the latest of this event so far. He shared with us that they believe that this was a targeted incident, that the individuals a part of the shooting knew one another. Currently, there's one person that is injured, and he says that they believe that the injuries are non-life threatening at this time. And there was also a crash on Milwaukee Street not too far from here that they believe is connected to the shooting incident. Now, I'm going to step to the side just so you guys can see what's going on currently. They just took down some of the tape around the area, and a gray SUV was just towed away that had several bullet holes in it as well. There's still a relatively heavy police presence here at the scene. Several cars still here, and I'd say close to a dozen or 10 or so police officers here at the scene as well. There's one more vehicle remaining just up the road that's on the curb that is believed to be a part of the incident. Captain Marshall has shared with us that this is an ongoing investigation and that they'll continue to give us information as they gather more. But definitely a concerning scene here just up the road. I saw that there were kids' toys in a yard, which is just, if you're a parent or anybody living in this neighborhood, is certainly concerning. He said at this time, people can go on with their day as scheduled. They're going to have a police presence here in the area as they continue to investigate. We'll continue to keep you guys updated both on air and online as we gather more information. But I'm going to send it back to you guys in studio. Reporting live on Madison's East Side, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Okay, thank you so much, Jalen. And also right now, Sun Prairie police are investigating an overnight shooting that left one person injured. Officers were called to the area of Sunfield Street and Sun Court just before 1 o'clock this morning for reports of shots fired. At the scene, police recovered evidence suggesting that a shooting occurred between people in two vehicles before they left the scene. One person went to the hospital with a gunshot wound. They were treated and later released. Now, police are asking those who live in the area to check surveillance cameras for possible footage of the vehicles at the time of the shooting. If anyone has any information, you're asked to please call the Sun Prairie Police Department at 608-837-7336.
Madison police are investigating after a robbery on the east side Sunday night. Officers responded to the intersection of Mendota Street at Ridgeway Avenue, where a man told them he was walking with some groceries. When a black SUV pulled up, that's when he says a person jumped out of the vehicle, pointed a gun at him, and told him to empty his pockets. The man was also forced to take off his shirt and shoes. The suspect then jumped back into the vehicle, which drove away down Mendota Street. 2 other people were reportedly inside that SUV. If you have any information about this incident, you're asked to call Madison Police.
An 84-year-old man has died after he fell while rock climbing at Devil's Lake. First responders got this call from the area just after 11:30 Sunday morning. They say the man fell about 25 feet on the north end of West Bluff. Life-saving measures were provided by paramedics, but he died at the scene from his injuries.
Turning now to weather, where you may want to bring your plants inside tonight. Let's check your first warn forecast with Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington. Alex?
Hey, we said last week we were going to transition to fall, and we have transitioned to fall, in my opinion. Frost advisories from Madison, U.S. Highway 151, and areas off towards the north and towards the west. This is from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning. So, yes, areas Madison and points to the north, you may want to consider, if you still have any of those tender plants that you're taking care of, to bring them inside or maybe throw a sheet over them, or over those fall mums. You might want to put a blanket over them as well. But we can't rule out the potential for a little bit of patchy frost even further to the south, even here in Madison, and areas over towards Dodgeville and areas over towards Jefferson as well. The closer you are to the Wisconsin-Illinois border, the less of a chance you have for seeing frost tonight. But look at that low temperature forecasted, 32 degrees in Camp Douglas, and some places could dip all the way down to 30, well north of Madison. So certainly a chilly night tonight compared to what we've been used to. Right now we got 63 in Madison, still 66 in Prairie du Chien, 64 in Janesville. Zooming on in here to Dane County, 64 in Deerfield, and 64 is pretty common in the west part of Dane County. Beautiful evening, fall-like. Clear conditions, temperatures slipping down into the 50s, 52 degrees when you join us again at 10 o'clock. But then those temperatures will dip all the way down to near freezing for areas north and west of Madison. Coming up in a little bit, I'll let you know how long frost chances will stick around.
All right, thank you, Alex. Well, today, Madison residents get a first look at how city resources will be funded next year. Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway has unveiled the first executive operating budget plans for 2026.
Ellie LaLiberte joins us now with what it means for your bottom line. Ellie?
Well, property taxes are going up by just about $30 annually for the average Madison home, but the mayor says it's the smallest tax increase in about 40 years. And although it could provide some relief for property taxes, the Madison Fire Department could also see some support.
We feel like we've been under-resourced for a long time.
Madison Fire Chief Chris Carbon says his staff are running out of steam.
We had over 200 instances last year where we absolutely ran out of every last ambulance in the city.
Right now, 9 out of 14 fire stations have an ambulance on site, but the proposed 2026 executive operating budget adds a 10th ambulance and 9 new paramedics.
In terms of response capacity, adding another ambulance to the fleet in service 24/7 is going to give us that additional capacity to handle the increase in call volume.
That increased call volume due to growing pains.
Madison is adding close to 5,000 new residents every year, and that's expected to continue through 2030.
Since 2005, MFD's calls for service have nearly doubled.
Last year alone, Madison Fire Department responded to close to 44,000 incidents across our community. EMS calls accounted for 67%.
And what that means for our staff is that they are going on calls literally back to back all day long.
The mayor's roughly $453 million budget comes after Madison voters passed a referendum last year to address budget shortfalls.
The successful referendum was a reminder that Madison residents value the vital services that city government provides, including a professional and adequately staffed fire department.
But Chief Carbon says he wants an ambulance at every station.
And that'll be our ultimate goal, is to make sure that as we progress down the road, that we can find responsible ways to generate the net revenue and work within the means of the city budget.
Now, this budget increases spending for the city by about 5% compared to last year's. That increase is partly from the 3% raises for some city employees and safety personnel. But this is not the final version. The budget still has to go through several finance committee sessions and common council hearings before the final budget is adopted in January.
All right, Ellie, thank you. Wisconsin's Democratic Attorney General Josh Kaul says he is not running for governor, but instead seeking re-election to a third term as Attorney General. Kaul nearly 3/4 of the way through his second term. Back in 2018, he defeated then incumbent Republican Brad Schimmel for the position. Also held off a challenge from Republican Eric Toney in 2022. Earlier today, Kaul told us why he decided to run for AG again rather than seek the governor's office.
It's such an important time right now. Our fundamental freedoms, our rule of law, critical programs that people rely upon are at risk. And I'm really proud of the work that my administration has done to fight back against efforts by the Trump administration that would harm Wisconsinites.
At the moment, Kaul is the only person running ahead of the general election next year.
This afternoon, Wisconsin Republican lawmakers talked about a slate of bills that centered on increasing affordable housing and cracking down on fraudulent service animals. These bills are aimed at boosting the supply side of housing, encouraging smaller lots, streamlining regulations, and faster approval processes. Lawmakers say the effort brings together builders, realtors, and local governments, all working to make home ownership more accessible for families across the state. Of course, the final goal is to address the growing demand for affordable housing.
The average age right now for first-time home buyers is about 39 years old. to buy a median priced home, you need about $171,000 in income now. That's actually startling to me. So the homes that my parents were able to buy, my grandparents were able to buy, just aren't available anymore.
During the meeting, these lawmakers also discussed a bill aimed at cracking down on fraudulent service animal certifications. The proposed legislation seeks to clearly distinguish between trained service animals and emotional support animals, ensuring that only legitimate service animals receive legal protections.
Meanwhile, Senator Tammy Baldwin addressed the ongoing government shutdown and its impact on health care costs for Wisconsin families. Right now, more than 270,000 Wisconsinites rely on Affordable Care Act tax breaks. According to a new Kaiser Family Foundation poll, 78% of Americans, including a majority of Republicans, along with Democrats and independents, support extending those tax credits. Senator Baldwin highlighted the struggles faced by families and small businesses as premiums are set to rise.
An estimated 4 million Americans are going to get that letter and realize that they simply cannot afford health care at all anymore. Small business owners might see staff flee for big corporations that can afford a big group insurance policy.
Senator Baldwin also called on her Republicans to work with Democrats to reopen the government and lower health care costs, emphasizing the urgent need for bipartisan action.
Well, coming up next, how Costco can help customers save money as they try to lose weight.
Plus, a warning about Lyme disease for the CDC as doctors see a rise in cases nationwide.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Welcome back, everyone. Good news for those who want to get a COVID-19 vaccine. Most Americans should still be able to get one for free. The majority of private insurers and Medicaid will cover vaccines recommended by the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices at no cost through next year. The CDC did add an extra hurdle to getting the shot, though. People who want one must now consult with a healthcare provider first. However, a prescription is not necessarily needed. And Costco is selling the weight loss drugs Ozempic and Wegovy at lower prices. A 1-month supply of these medications can be purchased at Costco pharmacies for $499. That is less than half of the total price when these products are bought elsewhere. And some Costco members can also get additional discounts. Wegovy is often prescribed for patients with heart disease and obesity. Ozempic is for those with type 2 diabetes.
Lyme disease rates are rising nationwide, with the CDC reporting ER visits for tick bites hit their highest level in years over the summer. And now cardiologists are warning of a serious heart complication that can occur after contracting Lyme disease. While extremely rare, heart complications related to Lyme disease can be potentially life-threatening if not caught early.
Most people will not even relate a tick bite to anything going on with the heart. We don't add two and two together, that a tick bite on your ankle can lead to any complications of the heart, or it happens months and months later that most people will not connect the dots.
A study this year from Dartmouth found in the northern parts of the U.S., around 50% of adult ticks carry Lyme disease.
Still ahead tonight, the UW system could be scrapping one of its required classes.
When we come back, the reason for the change and how it could make things easier for students who are transferring.
And just how cool will temperatures get this week? Alex has the complete forecast when we return.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Welcome back. Well, some of you may remember being required to take a class like African American Studies or Race and Politics in order to graduate college.
Well, those courses were made an undergrad requirement at UW-Madison by cultural student groups decades ago, but students now tell our Armand Rahman they're worried that new proposed general education requirements under Wisconsin Act 15 could change that.
Since the 1970s, ethnic studies has been a general education requirement for all undergrads here at UW-Madison.
Having a class talking about certain people groups that aren't necessarily largely represented, I think it helps people feel a lot more seen.
Olani Aboro is a student representative on the campus-wide subcommittee that evaluates which courses fit the ethnic studies requirement's mission of giving students skills to navigate what it calls an increasingly multicultural United States. But she says the committee was a bit blindsided highlighted by the news there could be some changes this past week by the Universities of Wisconsin system to try to make general education requirements the same across all campuses to make transfer easier under Wisconsin Act 15.
That is pretty beneficial in general. The problem lies in the fact that the Ethnic Studies Subcommittee wasn't contacted. Honestly, we're in the dark a little bit, and there's not 100% clarity on what the status of ethnic studies on campus is going to look like in the future.
According to a spokesperson with the Universities of Wisconsin system, quote, as part of the development of the new core general education requirements framework, universities will map their existing courses into 6 broad categories. This mapping process is undertaken by each university individually. UW-Madison has indicated that it has no plans to change its own course requirements. Those 6 categories don't include ethnic studies.
I just hope ethnic studies is kept. I just hope that we're acknowledged and that we are consulted in the future.
Reporting in Madison, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Armand, thank you. The Universities of Wisconsin System Board of Regents is expected to approve the proposed new Gen Ed categories and requirements in November. They'll then go to public comment before heading to President Jay Rothman for final approval at the end of December.
Well, turning to the weather now, so much for that air conditioning.
No.
We have Alex with the complete forecast. I love it, though, I have to admit.
I know. The last time I was doing weather last Friday, we're talking about upper 80s, 90s, and I said cooler weather would be on the way. Here we are in the midst of that right now. Those cool temperatures Wednesday, 63, but back all the way up to 75 by the time we get into the upcoming weekend. So our cool temperatures that we're having right now, not going to be around for very long. Planning our night tonight, 37 Madison, 35 Baraboo, and as we go up I-39, getting down to 30 in Camp Douglas, hovering right around 40 to the south. And with temperatures in the low to mid 30s, that's what has prompted frost advisories for areas, let's say the Wisconsin River Valley, Highway 151 and areas off towards the north and towards the west. So this would include Camp Douglas, this would include Richland Center, this would include the Dells and Marquette and Green Lake counties as examples. Now, this is not out of the ordinary. Our average first freeze or first frost, so to speak, where our temperatures get down to about 32 or colder. That's about October 11th, and today is October 7th, so we're right on the money here. This is fairly common for this time of year. We'll get up to 60 in Baraboo, 63 in Madison, 62 in Janesville as we go into Wednesday, and the normal high is 64, so pretty much right on the money for where we should be for this part of October. There's the 63 on Wednesday, 66 on Thursday, 67 Friday, and we got that Badger game in Iowa. Temperatures in the 70s here. They'll be in the 70s in Iowa as well. Packer game on Sunday, 75, so we're warming right back up to temperatures about 10 degrees above normal as we go into the weekend. Then we bring in some rain chances as we go out a little bit further into the forecast. We could use those raindrops because, again, remember, much of the area is experiencing abnormally dry conditions. At 10, we'll talk a little bit more about the 14-day outlook and how long the warm temperatures may last, and if we can get some wetter than normal precipitation chances back into our forecast. But let's take a little peek here at our fall colors. Beautiful time, northern Wisconsin right now. Even some of those peak colors trying to get towards that near peak as we get into east central Wisconsin. But right now, head up north if you want to see those colors nearing their peak. We have the harvest going in full force here. This is from the town of Brooklyn. Maddie, thank you for sending us this photo. Looks like the soybeans are being harvested right now. And if you want to send us your fall photo, all you have to do is just scan that QR code in the upper left-hand part of the screen, and then we get your photos, and then we can show those photos on air. Pretty fall photo here, and now it's actually feeling like fall for at least a little bit.
All right, we'll take it. Thank you, Alex. Well, coming up, preparing for Iowa. How Wisconsin football looks to win back the Heartland Trophy from the Hawkeyes. That's next in sports.
Welcome back. Head coach Luke Fickell and his Badgers are looking to shift some momentum.
That's right. After 3 losses in a row, the team hopes to find its second win as they head into this rivalry game against the Hawkeyes. Our Nash Dara has more.
If you recall, last November, the Badgers traveled to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City to face the Hawkeyes, hoping to bring back to Madison the Heartland Trophy in what was then a 2-year skid. Iowa, however, had other plans as they trampled Wisconsin 42-10, symbolizing that final stretch of the 2024 season for Bucky. But this Saturday, the Badgers have the opportunity to retake the bowl for the first time since 2021.
There's no doubt that what happened last year is something that's fresh in the minds of everybody on this team. and a part of this program. And so, we've got our work cut out for what we need to be able to do and learn from what happened last year and understand and recognize that this is what makes college football great.
The squad will be looking to get that bad taste out of their mouth as they are in dire need of a win, while head coach Luke Fickell is still searching for that first win against the Iowa Hawkeyes football team. At Camp Randall, Nash Dara, News 3 Sports.
Thank you, Nash. And the Packers will be back on WISC-TV this weekend when they face off against the Cincinnati Bengals Sunday afternoon for the second time this season. Green Bay will go up against quarterback Joe Flacco. The 40-year-old Flacco, who beat the Packers while playing for Cleveland in Week 3, was traded today to the Bengals from the Browns. Kickoff is at 3:25.
That makes me feel not so old. And don't forget to tune into the Wisconsin Huddle later this week. Sports director Andrew Banstra will be joined by Wisconsin Volleyball's Kristen Simon. 7th-ranked Badgers look to continue their win streak after sweeping Michigan. The show airs Friday night, 6:30, right after News 3 Now at 6. Alex is back. Final check of the forecast.
Yes, frosty conditions for Madison and areas up towards the north, so maybe you want to cover those tender plants if you're still tending to some of those tender plants. But that will be the only night, maybe a little patchy frost again tomorrow night, but then we warm right back up to temperatures above normal by the time we get to the weekend.
All right.
Alex, thank you. And thanks for watching News 3 Now at 6. Coming up next is Entertainment Tonight.
And be sure to join us again at 10 o'clock. You can always also find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. We'll see you later.